Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
So Chris Rock got his revenge.
And then some.
And then some in a big way with his live comedy special. He did not disappoint, I gotta say. This is just a taste of Chris unloading not just on Will Smith for the slap.
Yeah, but especially on Jada Pinkett Smith for what led up to the slap, at least in Chris's view of this.
Will Smith practices selective outrage. Because everybody knows what the happened. Everybody that really knows I had nothing to do with that. I didn't have any entanglements. We all been cheated on. Everybody in here been cheated on. None of us have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on us on television. Everybody called him a bitch. They called his wife a predator. Everybody called him a bitch. Everybody. And who's he hit? Me. He know he could beat. That is some bitch ass.
Wow. I gotta say, incredible. And, you know, what to me is the most interesting part is what Will said, remember, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. Well, boom, boom, boom. Jada kept coming up.
Yeah, he did not back away from it. And look, it's as far as the actual slap, he did do some jokes about that and said, that's the only part that was even pointed at Will, was just pointing out that Will's a lot bigger than me. So yeah, it hurt. Of course, it still hurts. But most of his ire was pointed directly at Jada Pinkett.
And I think he was almost saying that he was the puppet, she was the marionette. I mean, I really think that's kind of
what?
That basically it was her.
You know, a marionette and a puppet.
Well, I get it, but you know my point. Okay, that's fine. Anyway,
a lot of people were watching this. Obviously, just the general public, fans wanted to see what Chris was going to say about it. But really, a lot of people in comedy wanted to see, because a lot of people in comedy, they actually took this personally. Remember, afterward, that people in comedy were like, you can't do that. You can't get on stage and slap a comedian because you disagree with the joke.
Law enforcement says the same thing, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So joining us right now, one of the comedians who was watching very closely, Lunel. Lunel, welcome back to TMZ Live. So you watched the show Saturday night. What were you expecting compared to what you got?
I was expecting and hoping for exactly what I got. I mean, to keep it perfectly honest, the rest of the special was good, and, you know, it had some ebbs and some flows, but we were really all just waiting for that last, 15 minutes. And it did not disappoint. I don't know who didn't want to hear him say what he said, maybe certain people, but I know my people were waiting exactly for what he said. He said what he said. He stands on what he said. It took him a year to hold on to this, to be able to finally purge this. He deserved to have some retribution. He got it.
Well, you know, I'm wondering what your reaction is to something he did that I found really, really interesting. He didn't come down as hard on Will as he did Jada.
Well, I think that Chris feels that Jada was the catalyst for Will's obvious nervous breakdown. You know, we saw a lot of buildup that was in Will that had him take the action that he did. Will is a rational thinking guy. He's America's guy. And for him to flip like that, he had reached his wit's end. I think that we all think that he probably wanted to slap Jada, but he slapped Chris instead. And
Yeah.
Chris made valid points. Like, nobody wants to talk about the affair that your wife had, let alone be interviewed about it on television.
By your wife.
By your wife.
Yeah,
By your wife who did,
right,
yeah.
by the wife. Right.
So what is the comedic community saying about Will and and Chris.
Is it?
I mean, is there like? I mean, everything we're hearing is there's been a lot of bad blood for a long time. What's the word?
And it sounds like Chris is still angry.
Yeah. What's the word in the street among comedians?
Well, Chris has every right to be angry. We don't, we're not, comedians are not really known for brawling like that, even though it does happen. And he had the right to voice his feelings, The word on the street, as far as the special goes, we all appreciated it. When I say we, I mean, I'm on top about the black comedians, because I can't speak from any other perspective than a black one. So the black comedians, we appreciated it. I do believe we thought it was funny. And, sometimes comedy can hurt and still be funny. So I'm sure it's a little tense in the Smith household this week. I'm sure they didn't want to have to bring this back up again and again. But I think that maybe the next time somebody wants to publicly put their hands on somebody, maybe they'll think before they act.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and maybe that was Chris's point, because you're right. He's definitely going to make the Smith household have some interesting conversations this week. Lunel, thank you so much for being with us. Where are you heading off to?
No, I'm here in Las Vegas because I have a residency here every Sunday and Monday night at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club. So
nice.
I had a show last night. I have a show tonight. But right now, I'm sitting in front of Liberace's house because I'm a low stalker. We're going to leave here and go by Wayne Newton's house, too.
All right.
Let us know if you see anything interesting. Thanks, Lunel.
Thanks, Lunel.
Oh, yeah, I will. Okay, thanks, guys. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, we are going to move on.
Yes, to another comedian who did not have a very fun weekend. Pete Davidson.
Well, he had a good weekend to a point.
You're right, he did, up until Saturday night when Pete and his girlfriend, Chase Suey Wonders, were driving through Beverly Hills. And something went wrong. Pete lost control of the Mercedes-Benz they were driving and ended up going off the road, shearing a fire hydrant, and ending up smashing into a home.
Triggering a geyser on the street. I mean, it was just crazy. Firefighters showed up. The house was damaged that he hit. The question is, what the heck?
Pete and Chase were okay.
They're okay, but what happened?
Right, because it's not the area they're on. It's not like it's a windy road.
It's the flats. It's a straight line. And something happened, and we're not sure what.
I mean, he was driving a supercharged, right, Mercedes, so I'm sure that speed was a factor there. He's also, most of his time is spent in New York, so he probably doesn't drive a whole lot either. So you kind of mix the two, and it's probably why he lost control. You saw him in the video, just his back at least. He was in the blue and black North Face jacket where he was talking to first responders. He seemed to be okay.
Do we know, have the cops said anything?
So far, no one has been cited and no one's been charged in this thing.
Have they ruled out alcohol and whatnot?
I don't think there's any indication that was a factor here.
Weird thing, though, is, this is in the flats of Beverly Hills, and I'm assuming, this is a residential street, and it's weird if you're going in a straight line how you lose control. It's just odd.
It didn't rain Saturday night, did it? No.
No, it rained
Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday morning. But it's just, look at that. I mean, they're lucky that they are unharmed.
Hey, it's Justin. I'm here in Vegas, and I just want to comment on this incident with Pete. First of all, I'm glad Pete's okay. I'm real man that she's okay, because that's the most important thing in the car, right next to Pete. And then the car, you can get another car, Pete. Don't worry about that. But I don't know, man. Were you out there smoking a little weed, got a little busy with your girlfriend in the car, wasn't paying attention?
Oh, that's so funny. That's what we talked about in the morning meeting, what the theories were.
Yes. One, I wouldn't even say operating theory.
You know who's relieved about all this?
No, who?
Kim.
Why is she relieved?
Because, remember, when he was dating her, he was driving her Bentley all over town.
Right, and he thankfully never crashed that.
Precisely. Taking a break.
All right, when we come back, wow, the Vanderpump Rules cheating scandal that has absolutely has fans up in arms. Did Tom and Raquel have something going on?
Oh, look at that.
As far back as a year.
Look at that necklace. That necklace could hold the key.
Something to do with their necklaces. Well, if you talk to some people around this town, Tom Sandoval and Raquel Leviss are public enemies #1.
It's crazy.
Together.
Yeah.
Because of what has now come to light after we broke a big story that they are indeed
Together.
Together.
And the
problem
complication
that,
is her best friend is the guy he was with for 9 years before that.
Right. What, the guy? No. Raquel's best friend.
Raquel's best friend.
Is Ariana.
Yeah.
Who Tom has been with. These are the
9
Vanderpump,
years.
For people who don't know, we're talking about the cast of Vanderpump Rules, and this has absolutely blown minds here. The fact that
Our office is in free fall on this thing.
Right, and it actually is now blown up in public for Tom, who has a band that was performing last week, and after we broke this story, people were not happy with him, and you can hear it in the crowd here.
Turned on him
as his band was performing.
Is that Mel?
Yeah.
Guys,
wow, we love her.
This fling has been going on for a while, too. We've talked to so many people that spend time with them. There was actually growing suspicion in their friend group over the last couple of weeks. But this has been going on as far back as last summer. This romantic, I guess you could call it romantic, it's also sexual too. There was a video that Ariana had found on Tom's phone. The video featured Raquel. It was of sexual nature, and things kind of exploded there at their house.
Brendan broke the story.
Yes.
So he just dropped his phone and she picked it up, right?
Correct. And she also found other things on the phone later when they had gotten back from the show, and it kind of unraveled from there. I'm told what's interesting is he's actually still spending time at the shared home they have here in LA. One can assume they're not sleeping in the same bed anymore, or even the same bedroom, but that'll be one of the things that they'll have to figure out now, is what they're gonna do with this $2 million home that they have.
So one of the signs, or I guess you could say two things, that were pointing to what Brendan just said there, which is that this was going on dating back to last year. Some eagle-eyed fans have pointed out that it appears that Raquel and Tom were wearing similar, very eerily similar lightning bolt necklaces.
Not exactly the same, but they're both lightning bolts, so it's got to say something. And you wouldn't want to make a match because then it's too obvious.
Then it's too obvious.
So,
right. And then at some point, Ariana would be like, "Hey, you have the same exact necklace that." So
that's just too much of a coincidence with everything, right? I mean, it's too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, and these pictures that you guys are talking about with the necklace date back as far as October of last year. So that kind of tracks with the summertime timeline that we're hearing.
If they were wearing the necklaces in October, that means there's something, you got to back time. There had to be something that was going on before they got the necklaces. So.
Has Ariana said anything?
She has not said anything. Well, where she's said stuff is on camera, because we know that Bravo has put the cameras back into production. On Friday, they went back up. They're supposed to film for about 2 weeks. They're getting all of the cast reacting to this news. Tom and Ariana filmed together one-on-one at their home on Friday, so you can assume this.
So wait a minute. So Tom is going on camera talking about this?
Are they talking about what's going on, or are they just doing other scenes?
No, they are talking. Bravo put these cameras up to talk about this specific.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Now that's a reality show.
That's a reality
show. By the way, Tom has addressed all of this. He posted a statement. Part of it says, "Hey, I fully understand and deserve your anger and disappointment towards me, but please leave Schwartz, my friends, and family out of this situation. Also, Schwartz and Sandy's might have my name on it, but also there are 3 other partners and 20 employees who especially rely on the restaurant for income for them and their families." So referring to...
Can I just say one nitpicky thing? It's toward, not towards.
I know.
It just drives me crazy.
He's been getting slammed since he put this statement up on Saturday. All over the internet, people are pointing out the fact that he does not mention Ariana. He does not apologize to Ariana. They're taking it as money and his businesses, that restaurant that he mentions, are more important in all of this than apology. Where's the public apology to Ariana?
Wait a minute. This nutty society right now, why do you have to apologize in public? Maybe he did it privately. Is it not good enough unless you do it publicly?
Because the reason the public is outraged on behalf of Ariana, so they want to hear him say something apologizing to her.
It's not their lives.
You're right. I
Jeez.
mean, even if he did, it's not like they're going to like say, "Oh, he's a good guy now."
Right, exactly.
Right.
What I think is happening here is I don't think we're going to get a public apology. I think Bravo is telling him save that apology for her for the cameras, so for ratings.
My name is Bree Marie from Nacogdoches, Texas, and while I won't say that his apology means nothing, what good is that apology if it's not being directed to the woman that you hurt? Your friends, family, business partners, like they're only involved because you're casting a negative spotlight upon them, but public disrespect deserves a public apology. The same goes for private, and I feel like the woman that he loved, one of the two, deserves both. I hope the cameras catch it all for season 10.
It's going to be
they will.
a very popular season, so this is actually good for the show.
I might have to binge and catch up. Not wait, 9 seasons I got to watch?
Oh my God, I'm
Right, I
watching
don't know if
Dead
that's
to
gonna
me.
happen.
It is fabulous.
You still haven't finished that?
No,
It's like
it turned out I was
10
watching
episodes.
season 2 and not 3. Now I'm in 3. I didn't realize it. Anyway, Ben and Jen cannot make their mind up about anything.
It's certainly not on where they're going to live, because the house that we thought for sure this is the one.
They were in escrow. They were supposed to close
They did want it.
last Friday. They were supposed to close on this $34.5 million house in Pacific Palisades. They pulled the plug again. This is the second time we know of that they were in escrow on a house. They pulled the plug, and now they're in escrow on another house.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys, and they were actually seen at a mansion visiting, kind of looking at the grounds. And this one, the price is like double than the last one. Like, this is insane. It's $64 million, also in the Pacific Palisades. But it's just like, how many of these houses are they going to look at and be like, okay, this is
how
the
many
one.
are out
Nope, for
there?
real this time, this is the one. Nope, how about this one? Like, just don't go in escrow. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know if I were their realtor. At a point, I would say see you later. I mean, because they keep
Why?
well, because they keep pulling the plug. They're not closing
You don't listen. Come on, you don't know. No realtor's walking away from clients like that.
I don't know.
I don't care how much of a hassle it is. You're not walking away from clients like that.
And by the way, her house, we found out, the house that she has in Bel Air, which they are living in, we found out that house is in escrow for $39 million. So all these numbers are just eye-popping. But bottom line is, they're going to pay in the 60s, whereas they were going to pay like the mid-30s. So they have almost, like Charlie said, double the price.
Wouldn't you think, though, that the real estate agent now is like, wow, like the percentage I'm going to get off the $64 million, like he's licking his chops.
What's going on? I'm Suave, straight from Champaign, Illinois. And, I think if this was the first time that Ben and J-Lo were getting together and trying to find a home, it would probably go quicker. But since this is, the time that they want to make it a perfect situation the second time around, they want to get that perfect house this time.
Yeah, they do want to get the perfect house. Ain't no such thing.
Well, there's always a house when you move in.
There's
that
not a
you think
perfect
it's
house.
perfect when you move in,
That's
and then you
right.
quickly find out. it isn't.
We're taking a break.
All right, when we come back, new outrage over TikTok, a filter in particular that is blowing a lot of minds and a lot of people say causing body dysmorphia. You're going to see it and what some people are proposing should happen with TikTok and this filter. Welcome back to TMZ Live, and the folks at TikTok have really done it this time. You would think that they just recreated the wheel the way some people are reacting to their latest filter. Forget all the concerns about China getting your information. What we're really ticked off about is the bold glamour filter. And I will say, it is really extraordinary what it does. A lot of celebrities and normal folks have been posting it, so you see what they look like with the filter, and then it comes off, and there is a dramatic difference.
Sort of like makeup.
Yes, exactly. I guess you'd say that. It's like makeup.
Sort of like makeup.
But it's makeup that you can do with just a touch of a button on your phone.
So it's easier than makeup.
Yes,
Okay,
but
go on.
also potentially damaging. There have been a lot of studies about what social media does to users as far as how they feel about themselves, body dysmorphia. So joining us right now to talk about this is a psychology professor, Pepperdine University, Jennifer Harriger. Jennifer, welcome to TMZ Live.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, we so appreciate it. Give us your take on this, because I guess there's criticism that this creates low self-image. What say you?
Well, there has been numerous studies over the last several decades that have shown that when people are exposed to unrealistic beauty standards, they feel terrible about themselves. And now we have a filter where someone is looking at an actual image or a video of themselves that has been highly edited. So it's not surprising that it could lead to body dysmorphia, body dissatisfaction, low self-esteem, even guilt or shame.
I think, Jennifer, as we're looking at some of these, in particular, like Rochelle doing it, it didn't seem like that much of a difference when the filter went on and off. And I get what you're saying about what it causes people. This is just makeup, is my take on it. Like, what's worse is when people are photoshopping their bodies to make themselves much thinner. Like, I get that, but this is just makeup, right?
I don't think it's just makeup. So I'm certainly not an expert on filters, but from what I've read about this bold glamour filter, it also very subtly and realistically changes people's bone structure. But the only way that someone could ever recreate that look is to have plastic surgery.
And I get that. And that makes sense. Yeah. And look, a lot of people do that, and they do it anyway. Look, maybe I'm just an old dog on this, Jennifer, but to me, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are dissatisfied with the way they look and would like to look differently. What would the solution be? To ban this filter? I mean, that's just life. Sometimes you aren't who you wish you were.
I don't think banning the filter is necessarily the solution, but I've talked to people who have used the filter, and they've shared with me that they feel worse about themselves after they look at those videos or images of them using the filter. So it's just something to consider. It's one more thing that's potentially adding to the pressures for people to achieve these very unrealistic looks.
Well, one of the things you said, Jennifer, that I actually see where this could be an issue is if it does sort of change your bone structure. I guess if you're a young person who's using this, you may look at that and go, okay, I actually want that done to me. And I guess that just means you're going to see an increase in people asking for those cosmetic procedures. I mean, you can't really change your bone structure that much, but that would be potentially something that would change, at least for people requesting certain kinds of surgeries.
Yeah, I've heard from plastic surgeons that instead of people coming in with images of other people saying, I want to look like this, they're now coming in with an image of themselves that has been filtered, asking to be made to look like that.
Well, okay, let me try something else, and I'm not trying to be difficult here. I just have an opinion about this. It's like, you look at the Kardashians, and a lot of them, when you look at old pictures, are barely recognizable. They've had so much work. They have this huge platform showing people your butt can look this way, your face can look this way. You can, so it's
already happened.
It's already been happening, and at least with a filter, it's like, okay, rather than saying, make me look just like Kim, you could just say, look, I did something, and I realized I could look better this way. It just seems to me the same game.
I mean, you raised some interesting points, but I think the bigger problem is that we live in this society that is so focused on appearance, and it's doing so much damage to these very young, impressionable, vulnerable teenagers who are on TikTok using these filters.
Yeah. For younger users, definitely, I see this as a potential issue.
Is there a solution?
Yeah, something the companies can do.
I think that as long as people are being engaged on these platforms and they're spending more and more time on them, that companies aren't going to really be incentivized to make any changes. But one of the things that could potentially be helpful is using the algorithms that they're already using to potentially identify people that are at risk and maybe direct them to resources that could be helpful.
Yeah, use the algorithm for younger youth. Well, okay.
Totally makes sense.
Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me.
I will say again, you're at Pepperdine. You cannot beat that view, Jennifer. You cannot beat that view.
It's the most beautiful place in the world. I'm so lucky to be here.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I understand that there are definitely issues, and I understand what the issues are around it. I'm really tempted to go. I'm not on TikTok, but I don't know. I could use it's a little late in the game.
Yeah. Taking a break.
Fair enough. All right, when we come back, Patrick Mahomes' brother now being investigated for a sexual assault, an incident that was apparently captured on video with the owner of a restaurant there in the Kansas City area. We'll tell you all about this investigation when we come back. Welcome back to TMZ Live. Super Bowl champ Patrick Mahomes and Super Bowl MVP. We're used to talking about his brother Jackson as sort of being kind of cast as the ne'er-do-well younger brother.
The Billy Carter.
Who does a lot of TikTok videos. He's not as bad as Billy Carter. At least wasn't up to this point, because the latest incident with Jackson is not just a silly, maybe even offensive TikTok video. He's being investigated for a sexual assault, and that it allegedly involved a waiter or a server at a restaurant and the owner of the restaurant. The owner has turned over video, which we're about to show you, video that she says is the incident in question here, with a person she says is Jackson grabbing her and kissing her, forcing kisses on her.
And she's a server?
No, this is the owner of the
owner.
restaurant. Now, there's allegedly an incident with the server as well. That one, at least we have not yet seen any video of that, if it does exist.
Wow, it's on video.
Yeah, and Harvey, Charles, this obviously is not the first time that Jackson Mahomes has been engulfed in controversy, but this is definitely the most serious allegation that's been out there. So now police are actually investigating this as a possible crime, a possible assault, and he could obviously, if ultimately charged and convicted, this could bring jail time.
What was the situation here?
Yeah.
As the owner said, I know I've read that Jackson has been in this restaurant. He frequents the restaurant. So
Yeah,
he
there's
knows
been
people
reports, Charles, that he actually has a connection to the owner, that they have, that the owner's son and Jackson have a relationship, that they know each other, and that is a place that he frequents. Now, the owner did say, hey, look, I do think that Jackson, who was 22 years old, that he was intoxicated, but obviously that's no excuse to allegedly assault somebody.
Where did this happen, Babcock?
It's Overland Park, Kansas, at a restaurant called Aspen. So serious stuff here for Jackson Mahomes.
Nicole from Tennessee. I think the case with Jackson Mahomes is that he does a lot of things for one of two reasons, either for shock value or out of jealousy of being in the shadow of his brother, who's of course now a two-time Super Bowl champion. Nonetheless, whether he was intoxicated or not, his actions are completely inexcusable, and I feel that he thinks he won't face certain repercussions because of his last name, who he is, and his proximity to celebrity or his internet clout. But nonetheless, what happened had no business happening in the first place.
Yeah. And by the way, it's an awful thing to happen at any point, but and I hope this isn't the case, but it does sort of give that vibe of I'm Jackson Mahomes, and in this part of town, I can do whatever I want.
You know what, Charles?
Yeah.
I remember, and ultimately nothing came of this. We didn't even post it, but I remember a while back, a woman had wrote in and told a similar story of something that she claimed had happened to her in a casino involving Jackson Mahomes, and it's a very, very similar story. I do wonder, Patrick Mahomes has never had a single misstep in the NFL. He has been perfect. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, the biggest controversial thing in this guy's life right now is his brother, and I wonder if there comes a point where he says, hey, Jackson, you've got to chill. You're really hurting me.
Well, I'm not sure he's hurting him, but he's certainly not doing him any favors.
Hurts around town.
Yeah.
It's not hurting him as far as his career. Right.
Okay, we're moving on.
Yes, moving on to King Charles.
So
and
interesting.
The coronation. The invitations have gone out.
Thickens.
And guess what? Harry and Meghan are invited. They are on the guest list. They got their invitation over the weekend. The question now is whether or not they are going to actually go.
I think Charles has checkmated Harry and Meghan, because if they don't go, it's going to look kind of petty. If they do go, it's going to be so uncomfortable for them, given the Oprah special, the Netflix special, the book, the therapy session.
The therapy session that was going on Saturday, the same day that they got the invitation, and during that therapy session, he was very not complimentary to the way his father raised him after his mother died tragically. So
yeah, I definitely agree, guys. This is definitely checkmate. And normally I'm on Prince Harry's side and Meghan Markle's side, but this right here will show, like, do you really want there to be change because the olive branch is there? Are you going to take it? Or are you just doing this now because it's a huge payday for you guys? Because some of the things that Prince Harry said in that therapy session was like he didn't receive enough love as a child, and that, this whole facade of the royal family is just that. It's very inauthentic. And I think for a family member to come out and invite you to something that is, widely televised, and the cameras are going to be on you, and then hopefully you guys can have a conversation behind the scenes right after you say that, I think that there's something to it. It's kind of like maybe he doesn't want to be the first one to budge, talking about King Charles, but there's some budging that he wants to happen there.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if they do go,
everyone's going to call them hypocrites.
Well, and also it kind of screws Charles because it's his big moment, and all people are going to talk about is Harry and Meghan.
Right, and the British media will have a field day with them if they go.
Oh.
But again, if they don't go, now they look like the ones who don't really want to actually mend fences.
And
you're right. This is a checkmate.
He can't go alone on this one. She has to go with him.
Exactly.
Well, Harvey, I kind of disagree with the fact that it might take over the moment. I think that King Charles wants that to happen because you remember when all this stuff happened, right? With the Meghan Markle and the news came out about them dating on the day, and there was that whole big thing of, oh my God, he stole my moment, and we learned about that throughout their documentary. This right here will be him saying, hey, I don't care about the fact that the cameras are on you guys. I'm bowing down to that, and I'm allowing you to have that moment. It's not all about the press and my spotlight, the way that Prince Harry has made his family out to look.
Hey, my name's Barbara. I'm calling from Philadelphia. And yeah, I agree. I think this is an olive branch, and I think this is a father extending grace and to hopefully reconcile with his family. I do think Meghan and Harry should go, and I think they should have closed doors and make peace with the family. I also think this will be a great time that we won't have to hear about them again. I think we're very fatigued by this story.
No kidding. Okay, we are taking a break.
All right, when we come back, The Last of Us star Pedro Pascal is responding to critics who say that their show is just like another show with the word us in it. The Last of Us, huge hit on HBO.
Deservedly so. It is fantastic.
But here's the double-edged sword of when you're showing...
Pedro Pascal is amazing. He is so good in this.
There's a double-edged sword when fans love your show as much as they love The Last of Us. They find every little thing, it seems, to complain about.
Not me. I love this show.
And this is the argument that some people are putting out there, that the show is so well written that you fall in love with these characters. But this is not any specific spoiler alert. Certain characters get killed off.
Well, so did Jennifer Coolidge in White Lotus, but that doesn't make it bad.
You got 2 seasons of that before she was killed off, right?
Okay.
Or 3 seasons, was it? Anyway, we happened to get Pedro Pascal out in West Hollywood and asked him about fans complaining that The Last of Us feels more like This Is Us.
People are in love with the show, obviously, but they say that the show is just This Is Us, but with zombies, and like people are heartbroken over the fact that like they fall in love with these characters and then they just kill them off. What do you say to people that are like, I can't bear to watch it anymore because I've just fallen so in love with these characters?
I see it's worth it.
It's worth it?
All right, thanks.
When are you going to stop building us up to break us down?
It's not my fault.
Yeah, put it on the writers.
First of all, I want to say shout out to our photog, Melanie, for getting that clip. Pedro Pascal is one of the biggest rock stars in Hollywood right now.
Yep.
The fact that she got him on camera is awesome. And Pedro Pascal confirmed my bias that he's a nice guy and approachable and super cool. So that's great. To his point, though, to his point about good TV, I think what he's saying here is no pain, no gain. And that's true in TV these days. You need the emotional stakes, and his show, The Last of Us, certainly has that. Yes, there are characters that are introduced sometimes for just one episode. They're great. We fall in love with them. They're so well written and fleshed out. And then they die at the end. That's happened about 3 times now. And they're coming up on the series, or the season finale, I should say, next week. And to his point, it's not his problem. It's not his job. He's just the actor. But I do agree with him that you need those emotional stakes. That's what keeps people coming in. And people that are griping about that, they're not actually griping. People love this show. There's actually no one seriously complaining about this.
It's such a good show, and and the acting. The 2 main characters are just phenomenal. And I don't know.
I will say, though,
I don't see even any similarity to This Is Us.
Well, because they did the same thing. It's not the same kind of show at all, but they did the same thing on This Is Us.
Similar in the sense that they're tearjerker shows, right? And Game of Thrones was the same way. They would introduce characters and kill them off immediately, like main characters. That happened a lot, and that was a huge, successful favorite show.
But there is something to that where, for me anyway, it becomes emotionally just it's too much, and I won't watch.
That way. It should be that way.
I won't watch.
Oh, please. It's so good. It is, honestly, I just want to say one thing.
I don't want to end every time I sit down and watch something. I don't want to end it like wiping tears from my face.
Okay, your loss.
Yes, you do, Charles. Yes, you do.
My name is Andre Gordon. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I think with the success of everything going on with the show, Pedro Pascal handled the situation greatly. He showed that he's a great person and that the show is everything it is. And as somebody who played the video game, like, he is doing a great, fantastic job of doing the character of Joel. And shout out to Ellie, too, and her character.
Okay, every weekend we put polls up on the website to take the temperature of people, see how they feel about stuff. We did it this weekend. Here are the results.
All right. Bigger liar, Alex Murdaugh or George Santos?
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
They're going to go Murdaugh. It's fresh.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Also,
George
his
Santos
lies
got
are
a
more.
break. His lies are more consequential.
Yeah, somewhat. Murdoch prosecutors should have sought the death penalty, something the judge suggested. Absolutely or no life in prison was appropriate.
Ooh.
2/3.
All right, next. COVID came from a Chinese lab or a wet market?
That is fascinating.
Yes, that it's that big of a...
And telling now that, again, this
couldn't talk about
this was censored, and we should start thinking about censorship more. Better couple.
But not having censorship, just to be
Yes,
clear.
precisely. Kelsey and Chase or Matthew and Chili.
Matthew and Chili can't be beat.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
There you go.
Disney casts Black Tinkerbell. Great move or pandering? They're going to say...
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything's 2/3 today. Okay, one more. Oscars will call out Will Smith's slap less than 5 times or more than 5 times.
Definitely less than.
That's what they... I disagree with that.
It's that you can't do it. But if you're the person who walks on stage and it's the 4th mention, you already feel like it's just completely
I know, but
hacked.
everybody thinks they're going to be the first, and then they can't change their minds. Okay, we're taking a break.
All right, when we come back, Ice Spice has quite the weekend here in LA, not only performing at Rolling Loud, but hanging at Kim Kardashian's house, hanging specifically with Northwest, you know, who drew that incredible portrait of her. You can no longer say, I know you want to deny this, Northwest is an influential artist. Her art is really... a
thing?
Yeah. So much so, look, if you're in Northwest and you make a portrait, you draw a portrait of someone, and then suddenly they show up at your house, I think you have some influence. And we're talking about Ice Spice, the rapper who was in town this weekend for Rolling Loud. She performed on Sunday. That was great, but maybe the bigger part, pop culture-wise,
more than Rolling Loud,
was her her hanging out with North, shooting some TikToks. She went to the house, man. She was up at Kim's house, just hanging with North and the crew.
So listen, I think you could look at this from 2 different ways. You could say, one, this is Kim Kardashian just spoiling her daughter. Northwest is a huge fan of Ice Spice. Kim wants to give the daughter whatever she wants. Oh, hey, Ice Spice is coming over to make TikToks with you. That's one way to make your daughter happy. But I think the other way of looking at it, kind of to what Charles said, is I don't know if Northwest is an influential artist, but I think this is the beginning of Northwest being considered a serious influencer. You have to keep in mind that Kim and North's TikTok have 15 million followers. Ice Spice has well below that. So maybe Ice Spice is seeing this as an opportunity to say, hey, maybe I'll go over, increase my brand.
Totally.
I think that's what's going on.
You're totally right.
Do we know who's repping North? Who's making calls for her?
It's got to be Chris.
Who's her publicist?
Are you kidding?
It's Chris.
Oh, are you kidding? She's got that family locked.
Hey, everybody, this is Gabrielle from the DMV. And, I'm here for Ice Spice getting her zhuzh, her mojo, her, she's a starting artist, and marketing is everything in music. And if you're not marketing yourself the right way, you're going to be like the next Milli Vanilli.
Hold the phone. Did you just call her a starving artist?
No. She's
starting.
starting.
Yeah, I thought you said starving artist.
Yeah,
She is not a starving artist.
But starting out. And you're right, marketing, and I'm sure that's why someone on her team said, yes, go to Kim's house and go do whatever TikToks North wants to do.
Makes sense. What else you guys want to talk about?
Hey, it's Kobe from St. Louis, and I want to talk about Chris Rock because it's giving still didn't learn your lesson. Like, I don't know. I just feel like you waited a year to say this, and you're more aggressive than you were the night of the Oscars. Like,
True.
No, I learned. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Who is more aggressive?
Chris Rock, in what he said about Jada, certainly far more aggressive. I guess he's really putting
I don't even know that you would call him aggressive at the Oscars.
Right,
He told a
exactly.
joke, but now he's
Saturday
aggressive.
night was
He's
definitely aggressive.
Yeah, and he got payback. One more.
Hey y'all, my name is Kerrigan in Houston, Texas, @carryme_away on Twitter. And I believe that Tom's apology was very shallow. He didn't include the most person affected, which was Ariana. I mean, a lot of people are saying that they're the mind frame of, you lose them the same way that you get them. And Ariana was the mistress in his previous relationship with Kristen. But I believe she deserves a proper apology on an appropriate public forum. I just really feel like Tom in this situation has been given very big loser energy. So hopefully it plays on the season differently. So she doesn't have to be as humiliated as she was with his cheating scandal.
The only thing I will say is everybody's going to watch. By the way, speaking of watching, we have a new game show. And it is on 12 cities around the country. It's called Who the Bleep Is That? So what we do is we show you images of celebrities, but we disguise them and slowly unveil who they are. And the first person to guess can win a lot of money. It's really a fun show. Jeff Dye, the comedian, he is fantastic. He's on the show. It's in Detroit, L.A., New York, Minneapolis,
Chicago, Dallas, San Fran, Phoenix, Minneapolis, Orlando, and Milwaukee.
So take a look if you can. It's a really fun show. And we are going to take a break.
All right. When we come back, Jeff Bezos has a new toy. Just dropped, I don't know, $500 million on a yacht.
Pocket change.
And it is finally sailing. You're going to get the first look of many, I'm sure. We'll see Jeff and Lauren lounging on the deck of this thing. 417 feet of sailing luxury. And actually, we're talking about Jeff Bezos' new mega yacht, which apparently will have sailing power as well, not just a motor. Made its debut.
What made you think that?
The three giant masts. No sails on them yet, but three giant masts that are up on the yacht, which is now, it was spotted out near the Netherlands in the North Sea. Just taking a couple of test runs.
Can you imagine?
Don't think Jeff or Lauren have been on board yet while it's sailing. But
can you imagine? That is
417 feet.
Crazy.
By the way,
and not the biggest yacht in the world, by the way.
Not even close. Actually,
the biggest yacht is like 550,
almost 600 feet.
The
like
two
590.
football fields. That's crazy. But this one, I mean,
that's a nice, but that's $500 million.
I'm surprised it's a sailboat.
It doesn't actually have a helipad, but it comes with a trail vessel that does have a helipad.
And the trail vessel is probably as big as any other yacht.
I think is 200-something.
That's insane. It's like they're rich. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.